How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffleRelics and welcome back to another rumor video. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we've got two different rumors we're going to cover and talk about. The first one is kind of strange. It's talking about Stadium and time and space and blah blah blah, and then the next one is about Crown Tundra and that sort of stuff. Now, the Crown Tundra ones, as you may have noticed recently, are very similar, so we'll see if this one has anything new in it. If not, we'll just kind of, skip through it mostly, but let's go through the first one first. Let's get started. So this one starts off like this. It's called Time Space Stadium Leak, and then he says, due to, well, the thing happening in the world right now, production on the Gen 4 remix was delayed, originally slated to be released on its 15th anniversary, September 2021, which I still think is when it's going to happen. Game Freak, Nintendo, and the Pokemon Company have halted production for these games. During a meeting in July 2020, it was decided to push it back to the date of fall 2022. Okay, why in the fall though? Usually they always release these November, because it's a good time and a lot of money to be made. Now it says here, producers Hiroyuki and Junichi with director Shigeru have shared very little details. Now, Junichi Masuda doesn't make any sense because I'm pretty sure he left Game Freak. But then again, Pokemon Company still has influence, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't assume that he would still be producing the games after that point. Hiroyuki, I'm not sure about, and Shigeru, that's fair enough, have shared very little details. Other than games being named Time Diamond and Space Pearl, aside from the games now deviating from the original material, to which it has yet to be considered, if features like Dynamaxing, and it's misspelled Dynamaxing, and Gigantamax, which he also misspelled, and the Wild Area would even play a role for these remakes. Game Freak's major reasoning for not resuming production has been on refocusing how to make sure these games appeal to the fans and not face the same backlash surrounding Sword and Shield, which would be a good thing to do, because let's be honest, those games had a lot of issues and pretty evidently deserved the criticism they got. Not maybe some of the extreme stuff that was kind of thrown at the developers and stuff, but definitely criticism was deserved highly. But either way, the Gen 4 remix will not be featured during the events of Pokemon's 25th anniversary, which is next year. Now, to make up for the delays, Game Freak and Nintendo have decided to release old titles on the eShop, those being Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and new Pokemon Snap is slated for a spring 2021 release, which sounds good. That would be a good way to keep us busy, but it's a whole year, bro. A whole nother year of no new game it's gotta be rough, man, because we haven't had that properly. Like that. We haven't had that since 2015 was the only year where we had nothing. I think we had one spin-off game release, and that was about it, right? I think it was a mystery dungeon game, right? And the year before that we had Oras, and then after in 2016 we got Sun and Moon. So it would be really rough if we don't get anything along the way there. It's gonna be interesting to see how the community is gonna shift and change, because that area 2015 was the end for many PokeTubers, for example, and a lot of people within the community just stopped making videos because there just was nothing to make content on. It just got really rough. That's kind of what this year's been like. It's just been nothing to talk about, and the DLCs have been kind of lackluster, at least so far, right? The Isle of Armor was not that special. It was kind of short, nothing too interesting, and it is what it is. But let's continue though. So they continue on spring 21 release with its Nintendo 64 original game becoming available on the eShop. That would be really cool if that is true. It'd be really cool if Original Snap was, on the eShop. Due to its popularity and cult following, another major release will be Pokemon Stadium for a possible late summer 2021 release on the eShop. Ooh, I really would want that to happen. I would love that. Depending on how this release performs, it will be key for a revival of the series with a future production of Stadium 3. The main focus is making it possible to have connectivity with Pokemon Home in order to execute the feature for the Transfer Park. Among others, other delayed projects are Pocket Monsters Season 24 and Pokemon Movie 24 and the new TCG. Wow, that's a lot of things, if true, to be actually delayed. Now, to make up for the delay, Game Freak and Nintendo have decided to release all titles on the eShop, those being Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, not having the Gen 1 and 2 games on the Switch. Now, okay, so that's, I guess, somebody just responding there, but basically, to be honest, this is a kind of a cool rumor. I really do like this, okay? I like these ones that are a little bit different, and a lot of this makes a lot of sense, right? The possibility of a delay is highly possible. Remember, this pandemic, this thing that's happening in the world, this is affecting everyone and everything, right? Now, I think Japan is kind of recuperating well right now. They had a rough start with the whole thing when it happened initially, but I think they recuperated pretty well, and you can kind of walk on streets and do that sort of stuff pretty normally. I think a lot of people are able to get back to work. The biggest issue for Japan was they didn't really have a good system set up for working from home, whereas every other country for the most part is kind of got that ready to go, right? Most people have a pretty decent PC. If you work within video game development, you usually have a pretty good computer back at home that you work on, as well, and you can work on rather, and that sort of stuff. Now in Japan, it seems like they just didn't have that preparation or weren't ready for it, so it may have caused a lot of delays, which is unfortunate. But I do want to say though, I think that this could still be fake, and we still could get next year Diamond & Pearl Remix. But I'm not really sure. Again, I don't know, but I'd love to know what you guys think about it though. And there's some other things here I want to discuss a little bit further. Like, for example, I'm really wondering what he means by, Hiroyuki, and Junichi, being, like, I guess, involved here as producers. Because as far as I know, as far as the information I've seen, Junichi Masuda doesn't work at Game Freak anymore. Unless, again, Pokemon Company has some sort of influence or, does production for these things, which sure may have been a thing in the past, but I know recently though, most of the production and direction has been done by the in-house developers or in-house directors and producers at Game Freak. Now, again, you guys may remember that Game Freak is actually moving in, I think, into the same building as Nintendo's new HQ is at, right? Which is somewhere in Tokyo. So they're moving into the same building, right? Which means that they'll be close to all the other, like, Nintendo main studios, the main, ones that are making the big Nintendo games like Mario, Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, etc., 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 right? Like, they'll be there with them. They'll be there with them. So basically what I'm trying to say is, it could be possible now that the Pokemon Company and, Junichi Masuda being there could, be close by to still make enough influences and changes and choices that will alter the path of where this game is gonna go. Like, they can really make those choices. Now, again, I already talked about this a little bit, but the fact that they're talking about this being a delay of it is really odd. Like, it just doesn't seem highly possible that they still would have delayed it, even though we've had the whole, like, thing in the world happening, the pandemic and all that, right? Still feel like it's highly unlikely that they will delay the game for that reason, because I would assume that they probably have a lot of the game already finished up. But he does point out that the reason they would delay it is to avoid the Sword and Shield issues, and a lot of the Sword and Shield issues came to be out of the fact that just they didn't spend enough time, building out certain parts, or just kind of rushed the game out to get it out for the November release date, which they've been doing for the last few years. Ever since like X and Y, it's been just constantly trying to get the games out by November to just hit that sort of like November, like Black Friday release date area, because they know that the people around that time will be spending a lot of money. Now, my favorite part about this though is the idea that we might get Pokemon Stadium specifically on the eShop. Right now, he's talking about the old stadium, right? Like Yes, Stadium 1 and 2. I'm hoping it's Stadium 2 because then we'll get more Pokemon, right? Gen 2 Pokemon. But man, if they were to do a Stadium 3, or maybe not even a Stadium 3, but like a Battle Revolution, right? Like a Pokemon Battle Revolution 2, or like a Battle Revolution Reborn or something, right? Like, I'd love to see that, because to me personally, Battle Revolution was one of the best games, like in terms of Pokemon quality, was like one of the best games ever, man. Like, the animation quality and everything was insane. The only thing it lacked though was the actual, a world to play in, but it worked as a simulator, a battle simulator, and I think they could need that, because till this day, there are still people who prefer going on Showdown and playing like Showdown simulator battles than they bother even like trying to play the latest games, in the VGC, or like, just playing on the Wi-Fi battles, right? People just like ignore that because it requires so many extra things. Like, some people just want to play, competitive battles without all the hassle of having to breed the Pokemon, get the right IVs, EVs, all these things, right? Instead, just like pull a lever and pick out what they want, and pick the moves and everything, and items and abilities, etc., etc., etc. Like, pick everything and then just go battle with that. Some people just want to do that. And I think in this case, this may be the time for them, to introduce a game like that. And I think Stadium 3, they could do that, and then over time into Stadium 3, if they don't add every single Pokemon at the beginning, just add them over time. It would be so easy for them to do that. Over time, just add them in. Over the course of a year, you could add in, like, let's say if the game starts with, like, 300 to 400 Pokemon, then just add in the rest for free, by the way, not as a DLC, but for free. Just add them in over, like, the course of a year or two, right? And then, guess what? Boom, you got a complete kind of game with everything in it. So yeah, now I was thinking about covering covering another rumor here, but it's just kind of lackluster, to be honest. So I think we're just gonna, it's gonna be enough with this one. I think this rumor, even though it was kind of short, it has a lot of intrigue to it because I'm really excited about this. Like the stuff it's talking about here is really intriguing. But of course, I don't want to see Gen 4 remakes delayed, though it would be better if they spend more time on them. But I really want to play them, so it's kind of like a double-edged sword for me here. But also, I'm wondering if it's really true that they have delayed the projects for Pocket Monsters like Season 24, which would be, the next season of the Pokemon like anime, which is the current one that we have right now, which is Journeys, right? I would assume this is just like another season of that. And also, the delay of the Pokemon 24th movie, of course, also the new TCG being delayed, which is probably the biggest thing for them, right? The TCG delay probably gonna be the biggest money losing type of deal for them ever. So yeah, what do you guys think? So that is the end of the video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. My name has been RuffleRoute. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out and bye-bye, ladies and gents.